You want to get in?
All right, table 47, high hand.
High hand on the meat.
What do I get for fire high hand?
Meetup game 6.0. Yeah, I'm late. So this video is not from the most recent Meetup game, the October one. Unfortunately, we're still playing catch up here. This is actually from the July Meetup game. And I know it's behind, but better late than never, I always say. I don't always say that, but I'm gonna say it here because it's relevant and it applies. So enjoy the video. Just a quick reminder here, we are having a Meetup game. It's actually tomorrow. 2 p.m. So if you guys want to be there, call into the Maryland live list. We're already, I think we're at 31 people on the call-in list, which is sort of bonkers. Special guest Dan Zach, as seen on Live at the Bike, will be in attendance, playing 3-5 no limit, 2 p.m. Sunday. Be there or be square. Just another reminder here, we have a giveaway going on right now. It is for PKC, and the mid-range prizes will be 2-month subscriptions to Crush Live Poker. The top prize is actually going to be 2 hours of coaching with me. I really enjoy coaching, so I felt like this was a kind of nice giveaway to do because working with a new student is pretty challenging, but also very rewarding. Usually you get a lot done in the first hour or two, and basically what I'm hoping to accomplish with that student is to kind of understand their goals, understand what kind of student of the game they are, and kind of craft a path for them going forward that will be beneficial to them. And that doesn't necessarily mean ongoing coaching with me. To be clear, I'm not really trying to like sell my coaching services here. But I do think that some people will be good for it, and some people I'll probably be pointing toward other resources. But either way, it should be beneficial and should be a good time. And if nothing else, you'll get to hang out and talk with me. So yeah, basically details of the giveaway are down below. To be eligible for the coaching giveaway, you need to actually play some hands on PKC. But for the other prizes, all you have to do is just sign up. Pretty easy to do. And again, all the details are down below. With all that out of the way, let's get on into the video. Again, this is a Meetup game from July. At the Meetup games, shenanigans are pretty much always involved. One of these shenanigans is often the bomb pot. So bomb pots are a game sort of within the game where everybody puts in a certain amount of money blind and everybody goes to the flop. Nobody sees their cards before putting in the, $5 or $10 or whatever you decide to do. So it always ends up being pretty fun, although the pots are big and interesting things can develop. So in this pot, we are playing our first bomb pot of the night. I believe I have 8-7 offsuit in what would be the big blind position, but we've all put, I believe we've all just put $10 out there. So it's pretty early in the day. We might be like 2 tables, 7-handed or something like that, because on the flop of 8-4-3, I choose to lead for 35. Pick this size, I think, mostly because we have a top pair hand, yes, but we're not really betting for value. There's just not a lot of worse hands that are really going to call, aside from draws, I suppose, and some of those might raise. So I'm really betting more to just clean up my equity. There's so many hands out there. There's like probably every overcard represented. So if we were to just check this through, almost certainly someone would end up with a better hand than us on the turn most of the time. We end up getting one call from the hijack, and we go heads up to a turn, which is pretty good for us. It's the 8 of hearts. So we end up turning trips, and even though it's a good card, I decided to now check. I think that the opponent's going to have an 8 reasonably often as well. Their draws might be kind of wary now with the board paired, so I decided to just check, and hijack checks it back. The river, however, allays any concerns. It is the last 8 in the deck. I decided to bet because I think that if they have a boat, it's going to get raised. They can't have an 8, so the only other hands I'd really be targeting would be like some pocket pairs. So I figure all his strong hands will raise anyway. No need to check raise. I'm actually sort of targeting some of the hands that he would otherwise probably just check behind. So I bet 85. He ends up just calling, and I'm actually up for the high hand with quads. Obviously, my hand is good. It's the nuts.
You want to get in?
Fine table 47, high hand.
What do I get for fire high hand?
My 7 kicker does play, and it looks like I'm good for the high hand with 9 minutes to go. It's like a $400 high hand, so I was really sweating it. Normally I kind of don't care that much about the high hands, like if it's 100 or 200, it's sort of whatever, but 400, you know, I'd prefer to win. I'd prefer to win it for sure. Unfortunately, with 3 minutes to go, quad kings hits that board, and we do not win the high hand. But we do win the pot. This next hand is actually another bomb pot, and we are sitting with, again, you know, probably like $400 or $500, something like that. We are in the small blind position, so not running that good positionally with the bomb pots, but all good. Board is Jack 4 deuce, all diamonds, and I actually look down at 7-5 of diamonds in the small blind position. So again, I think we're 8-handed or something, and I choose to lead for 35. So we have a flush, and that's great, but we just don't have that many hands we're trying to target. I would say a jack with a diamond is the most likely thing, and we are reasonably vulnerable to that, so definitely want to be betting. We also lose to almost every other flush. In fact, the only flush we don't lose to is specifically 6-3 of diamonds. So we lose to a lot of flushes. So I want to bet, but not huge. And I'm not necessarily looking to go for like 3 big streets or to like check raise, get it in or anything like that. So just bleeding for 35. The big blind position caller is the only one. So we go heads up to a turn, which is a deuce of clubs. Pairs the board, and I don't necessarily think that that's super relevant. I don't expect, 4 deuce and jack deuce to just just call the flop bet. I think they'll raise small to medium sizes most of the time. So I choose to bet again, but frankly, it's kind of hard to see what we get called by now. Besides, again, a jack with specifically a diamond. I don't know. I just end up betting 80, and the big blind folds and shows queen 10 with just a diamond. So it shows that, we basically were getting called wider than we thought on the flop, which is good, and is also a good reason to still default to a bet on the turn, where like our hand is still pretty strong. Like there's still other worse hands out there. It's just that the board is sort of becoming so coordinated and potentially bad that, like if the board double pairs, we're screwed. If there's a 4th diamond, we're screwed. So it's just kind of like, I think we have to keep betting, even though I don't expect a ton of worse hands to continue. But we do get to take this one down and actually show it because reasons. Those reasons mostly being that we're at a meetup game and it's full of shenanigans. In this next hand, we've got 800 in front of us, no longer in a bomb pot. There is a straddle, and Andrew T., who's a good friend of mine, attends the meetup game when he can. I think he's been at the last couple, so shout out to him. He makes it a blind 12. So it's technically not a double straddle. You can't actually double straddle at these games, but it's occasionally in the right lineups, you'll find some people doing the $12 blind, and we are fine with it. We are especially fine with it when we wake up with kings in the, I think, next to act spot, so we're effectively like under the gun, and make it $40. The big blind and the straddle both call, and the flop comes down ace 10 deuce, 2 spades. Checks to me, and I think we have a pretty clear check back. We have the king of spades to fall back on, and it's hard to get multiple streets from worse. Plus, this is a weird kind of pot where I think people will actually have reasonably tight ranges, and I because of that, I think that they'll actually have an ace a little bit more often than not. So if we were to bet, I think we probably don't get called often enough by worse, and we do get called by an ace always. So I check it back. The turn is the 6 of diamonds. The big blind leads for 60. The straddle folds. And I think I have a pretty easy call here. Not too much to talk about. He can easily bluff with worse hands. He doesn't always have to have an ace. So on and so forth. We call. The river is the 4 of spades. So the flush does come in. The front door flush comes in. But again, no bets went in on the flop. So it's not like either of us has to particularly have, you know, a bunch of flush draws. In fact, I probably almost never have a flush, and you know, he can have flushes, but he doesn't like have to have a super strong hand here. He ends up shoving $200, and this isn't like a gigantic bet, but it is on the bigger side, and I think it generally represents a hand stronger than just an ace. I think, especially when the flush completes, people will still be wary of it, even if it's unlikely that I would have that hand. I also know I have the king of spades in my hand, so he can't have the nut flush. You know, he can have some flushes, like he can have queen jack, he can have queen 9, jack 9, but the fact that the ace, the king, and the 10 of spades are all out there really limits the number of flushes he can have. I mean, you could argue you can have 7, 8, 8, 9, but it's just not that many combinations. So not that worried about a flush. 2 pairs a definite concern. I think ace 10, ace deuce, and ace 6 are all out there. Maybe even ace 4 as well. But I just kind of felt like he was going to have a lot of bluffs too. And whenever you know, it's hard when you're not on the table to like talk about this stuff. But whenever I start talking about behavior or like mentioning beyond tells or the stuff that I can sometimes pick up in certain circumstances, people just get so mad. So I'm just going to say that I just had a feeling and I called and I beat queen jack. Lucky me. So I know this was a pretty quick one, not a lot of hands to go over. I was honestly a little bit burned out from taking notes on just like dozens and dozens of hands during the summer for the WSOP. And coming to this meetup game, I wanted to just kind of hang out and enjoy myself a little bit more than I wanted to vlog. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you subscribe to this channel, like, comment, share this video with a friend, and I will see you guys all at the meetup game tomorrow and in the next video. Peace.